you've described yourself, in spite of your size and weight, as almost using it as a platform to overachieve and to drive you, which is extremely positive. And I know you to be an extremely successful business person. And so talk to me a little bit about the other side. So the part that wasn't positive around how you felt about yourself and your size.
Yeah, well, nothing was ever enough, right? There was never, consumption it was all, like everything was all consuming sort of thing, right? Because, I don't know if this will resonate with you, but when there's something that you've been trying to overcome your entire life, not being able to overcome that thing, but having all the other success doesn't matter. Like nothing really matters because
There's always a yeah, but.
it's a yeah, but. Yeah, when you live your life, yeah, but, you know, you know, in Game of Thrones, you know, the Stark patriarch says everything that comes before yeah, but is bullshit, and you know that's exactly true, right? Like so, you know, you're a good businessman, you run a good business, you inspire people, you do this, yeah, but you know you're.
What is the yeah, but?
Yeah, but you're not showing up as the person that you are, and I think that's the
Well,
problem.
label it. Yeah, but
Well,
what?
Well, yeah, but you're fat.
Ah.
Yeah, yeah, but you're fat.
And isn't that interesting how we don't even want to say it, even though we
Right.
tell ourselves that?
Right.
Crazy.
And the reason I think, Sue, that we do that is because we want to tell ourselves anything that we can, anything that we have to be able to function and to put that thing aside, right? I almost view that as a bit of a shadow that follows you around and is sort of there, right? And is always it's omnipresent because it never detaches. You never detach from that person. And you know, for the longest time, I thought, well, I could just detach from that person and I don't have to worry about it. But what I realized is that really I have to embrace that person. I have to embrace that person in the totality of who I am as a person, right? And when I sort of can invite that person in and sit by the fire and give them a place, then it feels a little bit better because I feel like a bit more of a whole person.
Right.
But that's hard when you feel like this thing controls you.
And you feel like it is what makes you different.
Yes.
Or less than, or inferior.
Yes.
And so bring me back to that day. How old were you when you got that mortgage and you had that candid conversation with your doctor?
Well, it was September of 1999. So I guess I was I was 32 years old, I think.
All right.
Something like that.
And so this was, I'm guessing, not a fat shaming conversation.
No.
This is a very analytical, fact delivering conversation.
Yeah.
Now, I know the facts will turn on a part of your brain, but what did it do to your heart when you actually heard these words?
Yeah. Well.
Hypertensive, diabetic, obese,
Yeah.
overweight, sick.
Yeah.
Declined for life insurance.
Yep. Yeah. Well, first of all, it scared the shit out of me. I mean, that's the first thing it did, right? Because I had effectively been introduced to the thing that was likely going to kill me. And so, you know, really had to start questioning a whole lot of stuff, right? I had to start questioning everything.
But that's in your head. Let's talk about your heart.
Yeah, yeah. And I think it's important for me to go from my head to my heart because for me, there was always a logical solution, right? It's everything's just logical. It's just logical. And then, as the doctor was sort of talking to me, this is another conversation I'll remember. You know, he was sort of factually going through the things, and this is really where the fear came from. And for the first time, the fear of being fat was greater than the fear of doing something about it. Right? Because I always feared, well, if I go and I change this, then I'm fundamentally changing who I am. And if that's my edge, if that's the thing that makes me different and sets me apart,
It's like Samson with the long hair.
100%. This is going to be me cutting my hair, to your analogy, right? And so for me there was a little bit of logic, but what the doctor said was he told me exactly what diabetes was going to do to me. Like it was, hey, so one day you're going to be sitting there and your fingers are going to start to turn black, and you're going to start to lose the extremities, and I said, well, then I just die. And he goes, no, you don't die until no. Then your organs start to shut down, and then you start having more circulation problems, and maybe you lose a foot or this
or your eyesight.
Or your eyesight. And then next it was your eyesight, and I'm like, oh, hang on a second. So I start losing my digits, and then I lose my eyesight. He said, oh yeah, but the good news is you're probably not going to have to suffer through any of that stuff because your triglycerides are so terrible and your cholesterol is so high that you're likely not going to survive until then anyway, and your heart's going to blow up. So all of that caused a tremendous amount of fear. And then I started to think, okay, well, I'm going to have to do something about this. I have to go and do something. For the first time in my life, I seriously thought about losing weight and how that was going to happen. So I got the courage up, and listen, there's no doubt about it. It was absolute courage, because my solution was to go to a gym and to get help from a professional. So I went and I sought out a personal trainer. I walked into the gym as a 345-pound, 5'6" person who was terrified to be there because of all of the ridicule that I was sure was going on. Everybody was talking about me. Everybody had to have been talking about me, because I walked into this place and all of these fit people and were there, and I stuck out like a sore thumb. And so I found this trainer. Her name was Rain. And so we had a conversation, and she said, so here's what I want you to do is I don't want you to make any changes at all. I just want you to write down everything that you consume. And I thought, well, that's going to be easy because I don't eat a lot. So no problem. And I said, well, what do you want me to do for exercise? Nope, don't do anything. I just need you to become aware of what you're doing currently. No problem. And so 4 days later, I wrote down in a little book every single thing that I consumed, and I went back and I said, here you go. See, I don't eat very much. So I don't understand why I can't get control of my weight. And she took a look at it, and she did some math, and she had a little guide with her, and she said, okay, so so on this day you consumed 5,600 calories. She goes, do you know how much you need to consume in order to stay alive? And I said, I have no idea. And she said, you need 2,000 calories. So I was eating 3 times as many calories, or consuming 3 times as many calories, and I didn't even know. I didn't even know. And so that was the first sort of step in the right direction for me, was to not think about how things, I thought they were, but how things really were. And so at that point, I realized that there was room for improvement. And then I started to work out, and I changed my diet and everything else. And I lost 100 pounds in 13 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's not like, it's
Wow.
Listen, as you say, I'm a bit of an overachiever. When I put my mind to things, we can make some real serious inroads. So that first 100 pounds came off in 13 weeks, and I was probably okay for, I don't know, I want to say maybe 6 months. And then the habits that I had created, but I didn't realize that I had created new habits, but the going to the gym and stuff, I shortly after that, I left my job. So I was no longer going by the gym to work out, so I had to take another route, and then I didn't have that job anymore, and I didn't have to go anywhere near there. So I stopped going to the gym, and as soon as those habits sort of started to change, then the weight started to creep back on. 10 pounds here, another 10 pounds, then 15 pounds. And then that was the beginning of my yo-yo dieting. And so that's kind of the thing. And when you lose 100 pounds and you start thinking, oh my God, look at all the work that I put into doing this, and then you start gaining weight again, well, then the self-flagellation and the beating up only intensifies.
How could you?
Yeah. Like, what were you thinking? Like, you did all that work for nothing.
And
Like,
you just
for
let
nothing.
it all go
Yeah.
again and
Yeah.
again.
Yeah. So all of that negative self-talk, all of that, I told you couldn't. I knew you couldn't do this. All of that sort of started to creep back in. And you know, really, that was probably, you know, so that was probably 2000, 2001. And so from that date, you know, and then of course I went to the gym a couple of times. I injured myself. I hurt my back. I hurt my shoulders, you know, because I was pushing a little hard and stuff. And so then I came up with this negative association with exercise.